talk you, Heather.
Fortuitous time to have a NATO summit because it's about time the world got together over two main issues: how to stop Russia from absorbing every other nation they used to have when they called themselves the Soviet Union, and how to come together on a comprehensive effort and a coalition to stop ISIS. One thing is clear: we may have the power, but it seems like David Cameron has the very clear and candid voice. But together they combined on an op-ed that published today.
Right, the NATO summit certainly bringing at least them together in opinion, as indicated by their writing, which said this, quote, "If terrorists think we will weaken in the face of their threats, they could not be more wrong. Countries like Britain and America will not be cowed by barbaric killers."
Well, that's terrific. That's the kind of rhetoric we've been waiting to hear from our president. Remember, it was just last week that the president said we don't have a strategy. Then yesterday he said during that press availability with the president of Estonia, we would destroy ISIS. But then he said, you know what, maybe we'll just manage them. This is very, very confusing, not only for people watching, but also for the White House staff, because they had to explain what the president meant last week, what he meant yesterday, and what he means now. Jason Chaffetz, the Republican from out west, is confused just like the rest of us.
It's very confusing. The president seems to be a definite maybe. That is not what we need in the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. I think history will show that the president failed to deal with this about a year too late. We should have been dealing with this a year ago. Nevertheless, here we are today. We need a goal, we need an objective, and then we need a strategy. And it just does not feel that the president of the United States has his heart into it, because the moment he gets off the teleprompter, we get this different answer saying it's manageable. Manageable? That's when you're closing a lane on the freeway and you got to go down the freeway with 3 lanes instead of 4. Then you manage it. But this is ISIS. They want death and destruction to the United States of America.
But the problem is, you know, you might say, well, Jason Chaffetz is a Republican. He goes against the president a lot. But you saw the Secretary of Defense yesterday on the stage actually going against the president, saying, look, it's clear, it's destroy. I mean, let's just make it destroy. And then you saw Vice President Biden again almost you know, go very over-the-top emotional, saying we have to destroy these guys.
And follow them to the gates of hell.
Jen Psaki had a hard time with James Rosen because of the 3 different positions the president took in that Estonia press conference. It just seems as though the president, again, what David Chaffetz thought was just said, when he's off his prompter, he tends just to wing it.
Right, and I think what the American people are searching for, and I think we heard it from Jason Chaffetz, is that they're searching for conviction in this statement. It's not just empty words. Like, I'd love to hear strong statements from the president at a time like this, as would many other citizens. But I think you want to believe that there's some conviction behind there. It's certainly coming from those that are on his side politically. I mean, Democrats are coming out right now with stronger statements than he has in the past. We've got a ton of them coming out in United Arab Emirates, using stronger words and verbiage as it relates to ISIS. This is what they said. Islamic extremism is a Middle East problem, but it is quickly becoming the world's problem, too. Now it is time to act. The UAE is ready to join the international community in an urgent, coordinated, and sustained effort to confront a threat that, if left unchecked, have global ramifications for decades to come.
It's about time. That's the first Mideast country to come out against ISIS. Charles Krauthammer sees it this way.
The UAE is not afraid to say Islamic extremism. The president is. He calls it extremism. In fact, earlier in the show, you showed our counterterrorism, our top guy, called Olson, and he said that the ISIS now is looking to outpace al-Qaeda as the leader of the global extremist movement. He cannot bring himself to say Islamic. For God's sake, ISIS calls itself the Islamic State, and yes, we are so politically correct, we don't want to use the word Islamic, lest it be a slur on a great religion.
Yeah, okay, so, you know, to your point about how people throughout Washington seem to be turning on the president, not only on the Republican side, but on the Democrat side as well. Just take a look, Senator Al Franken from the great state of Minnesota. He's about as far left as you can get. He said, I was troubled by the president's recent suggestion that the administration has not developed a comprehensive strategy to address the growing threat of ISIL's activities in Syria. And he's not alone.
Right. And out of Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren was asked by Katie Couric about it, and she said this.
ISIS is growing in strength, and it has money, it has organization, it has the capacity to inflict real damage. So when we think about a response, we have to think about how to destroy that. We need to be working now, full speed ahead, with other countries to destroy ISIS. That should be our #1 priority.
Senator Warren sounds like someone who was sleeping in the other room and was told to whisper. But I understand her point. She's also way to the left. Jeanine, who wants to win an election in a very tough battle with the former Senator Brown, says, quote, "Do not believe ISIL is manageable. Agree that terrorists must be chased to the gates of hell." And that is the quote from Joe Biden.
Right. I don't think chasing is one thing, right? So he said, we're going to follow you. I don't think they should be taking the lead at all. That was one point that I took issue with. There was also a mention by the president that this is not going to be a 1 week or 1 month or 6 month proposition. Now, this president has been quick to set deadlines in terms of solving problems when it comes to the Middle East and timelines with our military, yet not able to do that, not able to know if there is a definite strategy moving forward with time.
Well, right now, the White House strategy is, while the president is over in Wales, where he is right now, and we're going to bring you some pictures of him with David Cameron shortly, what he's going to do is he's going to try to build a coalition. And so far, former Senator, current Secretary of State John Kerry has reached out to Australia, the UAE, Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Italy. And these are countries that they're saying, okay, you all have an interest in killing off ISIL, or ISIS, as we do. What can you contribute? Humanitarian aid, weapons? Here, sign up.
Yeah, meanwhile, this has been going on. They've been together for a year. The urgency's been there for a year. They took Mosul 3 months ago, and now we're waiting for a big conference to get a coalition. By the way, call 1-800-EGYPT, and France has planes, too. As tough as David Cameron's talking, I got to see some action. What about your Air Force? And as great as UAE is to come forward, if you gave your people a little bit of rights, I'd feel a little bit better about it, and at the very least, they should write a check. However, the UAE did combine with Egypt to bomb Libya last week, or 2 weeks ago, because they feared Islamic extremists getting hold in that country. At least somebody did.
I think the nation is praying right now that something moves forward. We've had the second American journalist beheaded. We have ISIS starting to take over power transformers, and we have one of the fighters who was killed just recently. Now we know that he was working for an airline out of Minnesota. So time is ticking, and lives are on the line, Mr. President.
And the next up is a British journalist who everyone is focused on now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they think he may already be dead. All right, it's 11 minutes now after the top of the hour. Coming up, we just told you about President Obama's flip-flop on his stance regarding ISIS, or ISIL as he calls it. So which leader sends a stronger message? Our president or the Prime Minister of Great Britain? We'll grade them coming up next.
Why not? It's back to school.